Hello everyone. We are discussing about CO2 Performance Ladder. The CO2 Performance Ladder is built upon the principle of harnessing the power of procurement. It is a tool that was designed to help organizations reduce their carbon emissions across their operations, their ongoing projects, and the broader business sector. Now, with a certificate on the ladder, organizations can gain an award advantage during their tendering process. The tool serves as both a CO2 management system and a procurement instrument. The CO2 Performance Ladder is a tried and tested instrument used for 15 years in the Netherlands and other European countries. And it has proven effective as both a public procurement tool and CO2 management system. Now, here are some statistics for you to consider. The CO2 Performance Ladder is a standard instrument for the procurement in both the Netherlands and Belgium. It is regularly used by more than 300 public authorities and is now internationally recognized as a best practice in green public procurement by the OECD and the World Economic Forum. Now, the CO2 performance ladder is available and considered as one of the tools even in France, Portugal, Germany, Belgium, Ireland, and the UK. I'm Vaishali Baid, project manager for the CO2 performance ladder in the UK and senior consultant sustainable procurement with Action Sustainability, the UK coordinating partner for the CO2 performance ladder. Action Sustainability has been appointed by SCOW, the Foundation for Climate Friendly Procurement and Business Netherlands, and funded by the IKEA Foundation. Today I'm joined by Transport for London, TFL, which has begun piloting the ladder within selected tenders, fostering a culture of sustainability and furthering their environmental responsibility within the UK procurement practices. From the TFL team, we have Anna Fish, Environment Manager, Scope 3 and Supply Chain from their corporate environment team, and Henry Yeomans, Head of Procurement, Track and Fleet. So let's hear from one of the biggest procuring authority in the UK, TFL, about how they are integrating the CO2 performance ladder into their tender process. Hi, Anna and Henry. Welcome to this podcast session. For the benefit of our listeners, could you briefly explain your role at Transport for London, please? Anna, would you like to go first?
Go for it. So yeah, my name's Anna Fish. I'm an environment manager in our sustainability and corporate environment team, and I look at supply chain and scope 3 emissions.
Henry?
Hi, and thanks very much for having us on the podcast. I'm Henry Yeomans. I head up the procurement and commercial team for our rolling stock maintenance team and also our track operations team. So really pleased to be a part of the carbon ladder implementation at TFL.
Thank you, both of you. So, TFL is committed to reducing supply chain emissions as it is outlined in your corporate environment plan. And I think an important part of achieving these targets is bringing suppliers along on this journey. So, Anna, could you give us an overview how TFL plans to do this?
So the CO2 performance ladder gives us a really good opportunity to really step up into supply chain engagement around carbon. So the CO2 performance ladder pilot is a really good way for us to really kick off this journey. So in our corporate environment plan, we've committed to reducing our scope 3 emissions through supply chain engagement. So the market engagement side of the CO2 performance ladder gives us a really good mechanism to do that.
I think from my perspective, given that we're looking to make London greener, it would be remiss of us not to consider the impact that our supply chain has on London and the rest of the UK. So to have a framework that allows us to bring our suppliers on that journey is really important to us.
That's a good start. Thanks, both of you. And I think I've already given our listeners kind of an overview about the CO2 performance ladder. Why do you think that TFL chose to be a part of this pilot project in the UK and incorporate the CO2 performance ladder into its procurement process? Henry, let's start with you this time.
A number of our suppliers that we speak to are already thinking about their own journey and the impact of CO2 within their supply chain. And for us to have a framework that allows those suppliers to incentivize it, and as part of our procurement process to see that TFL is implementing a process and is part of our objectives, just allows us to essentially incorporate that into our procurements and think about the long-term impact of becoming green by 2030 in terms of our carbon neutral ambitions.
Yeah, I think the tool is a really effective incentivization mechanism, which is something that's not so easy to do within procurement, and it's quite a new initiative for many organizations. But the CO2 Performance Ladder makes that really easy and really bridges the relationship between cost and carbon through the procurement process. So I think for us, making that relationship is really important through procurement, and it's super easy to adopt. We found it really easy to implement in many of our procurements so far, and considering it's a pilot is going smoothly so far. And I think the other element is driving maturity in industry. So there's many sectors that are still working through their carbon journey and really trying to advance their efforts in this space. But the carbon ladder helps to support that journey for many sectors and create a good relationship between the client and the supplier.
Brilliant. Thank you, both of you. Moving on to our next question, I think managing procurement specifically at TFL, it is a significant task. Of course, it comes with technical requirements, and now there is an emphasis on engaging suppliers to support TFL in delivering their environmental ambitions. How do you see the CO2 performance ladder supporting your procurement teams in this process?
I think from my perspective, as Anna's already pointed out, it's easy to adopt. It allows continuity and consistency within our tender approach. It allows for standardization in identifying the carbon within our impact within our supply chain and the opportunity to reduce the carbon impact we have. But also it doesn't involve a huge amount of investment. It doesn't involve creating additional sets of KPIs and drawing out our tender process. So from my perspective, it's easy for our teams to understand and implement and to add it into our tender packs as well.
Moving on to our next question, how did you find the process of implementing the ladder? We appreciate it's been only 6 months, 7 months that we have been involved in this process and pilot program. So, what has been your experience so far?
Yeah, so far it's been really positive. So we first started by engaging one of the team leads in the procurement teams to explain the initiative and what we were trying to achieve from it and how it works. And they grasped it really well and really quickly and were really enthusiastic about it. So following our carbon literacy training program that's been rolled out across TFL, they really saw the relationship between what they'd learned through carbon literacy and how they could now take that forward using the pilot. So I think the enthusiasm to really adopt the pilot and really roll it out across this team's pipeline was a really positive engagement opportunity for us internally too. And then taking it forward into the pilots, so far it's been very smooth. I think with the support that we've had from Action Sustainability into developing the materials that go into the procurements, supporting us with the market engagement and supporting with any questions and queries that have arisen through the process has made it really easy. Obviously, it's a pilot and there's humps in the road that we have to overcome here and there, but it's been surprisingly quick and easy to adopt. So we're now at a point where we're looking to roll it out further and run further pilots in other teams to see how it can work with other types of procurements. So far it's been really positive for us.
Brilliant. Thank you, Anna.
I think from my perspective, my team that's been working on this with Anna has found the engagement from our supply chain to be really positive. And of course, socializing what we're trying to do from a carbon ladder perspective and have a greener offering and greener environment before we go out to market is really, really important. And so they understand what the objective is and they understand how to implement the carbon ladder. And that's been really important for us. It's not overly complicated. So to identify those sectors and areas is really important where it might be a quicker win and then sort of get a bit bigger in terms of thinking as well. So we're in those first steps and so far it's been really positive.
Brilliant. Thank you, Henry. Maybe that would be interesting to know from both of you. Do you have any tips for our TFL suppliers and supplier partners around CO2 performance ladder?
Internally, I think advice for procurement professionals within our teams and within other organisations looking to roll out the CO2 Performance Ladder is to target procurements in sectors where the tool can really drive the maturity, and perhaps on procurements where you have carbon intensive materials or activities where the carbon ladder can really make a big dent in supporting that carbon reduction journey.
Brilliant. Thank you, Anna.
I think from my perspective, suppliers are already thinking about their carbon footprint. So the information that we're providing and the discussions that we're having with them sort of amplifies what they're probably already thinking, but maybe aren't seeing the drive and the initiative from their customers to do that. So for me, the advice to suppliers is take a little bit of time to think about your own supply chain, your own impact, and what are the sort of things, as Anna pointed out, that are driving your emissions in terms of carbon, and look to make some small adjustments, look to at least visibly identify that and get some sort of control over what it looks like. And therefore the understanding of the carbon ladder and the discussion with your customers becomes a bit easier. And you can understand the incentivization that we're trying to apply to it when we go through the tender process, because what it does apply is a discount, so to speak, based on the implementation of the carbon ladder. So it makes suppliers more attractive to us as an organization because we can talk about what we're doing at multiple levels when we're looking to procure goods or services.
Insightful. Thanks, Henry. And my last question, of course, TFL has taken this pilot project for CO2 Performance Ladder in the UK. Do you have any recommendations or advice for, other procurement authorities or procurement professionals who will be, beginning their journey with the ladder soon?
I think from my point of view, any advice to take forward in terms of implementing the ladder is go for it and throw yourself right in. I think we're often hesitant and looking into to making sure that things run right, which is always an important piece of assurance to do and taking on a pilot. But we found the CO2 performance ladder so far really simple and effective to dive right in and run across a huge range of procurements and still looking to expand. So go for it.
Thank you, Anna.
I think the fact that the feedback from my team has been how straightforward it has been to implement within tenders and how easy it's been to use the mechanism of the carbon ladder within the tenders is we should sort of declare and sort of let others know that don't be put off by the sort of whole carbon emissions complexities and etc. But it's very straightforward. So just as Anna said, just take a bit of a dive and and don't try and bite off more than you chew. So a couple of example commodities or categories and use that to trial it. You'll soon find that actually you can roll it out across multiple tenders very quickly.
Brilliant. Thank you, both of you, for your time today and sharing your insights and journey with CO2 Performance Ladder. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.